All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee. Everything School HQ, whether it be rowing, ladies softball, men's baseball, top 25, wherever you look. SEC champions with softball, rowing, postseason play right away. Send it to both JP and Evan just in case they had missed the latest and greatest in Everything School HQ updates. You know, we got Georgia scared trying to get 5-star quarterbacks to try and keep up with Nico Iamaleava, Jake Merklinger coming in next year, McIntyre coming in the year after that. Like, it's just the pressure is on the rest of the Southeast and the rest of college sports with the orange wave that is happening each and every day. Also here, my good friend out there in Los Angeles, California, Mr. Evan Sowards. Evan, good evening, sir. How are you?
I almost passed out listening to you talk about Tennessee sports there. I am doing well. I have some exciting news. My girlfriend, Sarah, who is Vietnamese and English is technically her second language, but she's very English. She doesn't have an accent or anything like that. Spelled the word reggae, like reggae music. Reggae. Raygay.
Phonetically.
I mean, I was like, are you trying to say reggae? And she's like, yeah, that's not how it's spelled. Reggae. I mean, like, I don't know about you guys, but like if I were to write those letters out, I'd be like, I should double check.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually said it out loud. I think that's one of those words where I've never actually
you've never said the word reggae?
Yeah, I've never had a reason to.
You do live in the land of the whites.
Not true. I lived downtown Atlanta for 10 years. I mean, a long time. 7 years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's not a big,
I grew up in Stone Mountain.
I don't know, but you don't even say the word?
No, it just doesn't come up. It's just not my music. I don't know. It's just never.
Doc, I listen to Screamo. You're not exactly talking to like a professional reggaeton.
You got a chance now.
I do have a chance now. Also here, down there in Orlando, Florida, Mr. JP Acosta of SBNation.com. JP, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening to you guys. We do say reggae here a lot.
Okay.
Reggae music. So you have the opportunity now. If you choose to say reggae, now's your chance.
You know, you guys aren't even that far away from each other, really. In the grand scheme,
it's pretty far
compared to me. You're only like.
It's like 7.5 hours.
You only have one state in between you guys.
No, two. You can't get from Tennessee to Florida without passing into either Georgia or South Carolina.
Depends on the road you take.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go like a straight shot, sure, but like you can go south and east.
What?
I don't know, man. Listen.
Are you just making up roads? What are you talking about? How am I doing that?
Across the Gulf of Mexico.
You know, you could like go. I mean, it's not ideal.
Evan's looking at the map and realizing there's no way to get from Tennessee to Florida without crossing into one of Georgia and South Carolina.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying you would only need to go through like, you could go through Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Just take what is it? This is, by the way, riveting podcast. The 24.
Yes.
How are you, JP? How's Florida?
Florida is great. I don't know if you can take the 24 from Orlando to Tennessee. We will see.
It's a start.
JP, have you ever taken Highway 1 in South Georgia to Tallahassee? Like that? Have you ever been on Highway 1 where it like goes through Statesboro and then like leads into North Florida and like before you get to Tallahassee?
Yeah, I lived in Alabama for 4 years. We normally take we'd go through Atlanta. Florida visit family, but sometimes we take the Florida-Bama way.
Yeah.
We did it like once when I was like 17, and then we never did it again.
Yeah. Well, for Evan who doesn't know, I don't know how well you remember it, but there's not a lot going on there, and there's not a lot of stops, Evan, not a lot of lights, but I will never forget how scared my best friend and I were, where we took, because this was our first like big college trip. We went down to visit my cousin at FSU, and like I'm over here in this little beater Honda Accord driving, and I kid you not, we were like, this is like 40 straight miles of just nothing, and I didn't know the gas situation. And then you pass this, like, there's this place called, like, Quincy, Florida was like a ghost town, and we were just driving through, and I was like, Corey, if we actually like break down, because we're using Garmin's. This is before Waze and iPhones and all that kind of stuff. That I was like, we're in trouble, because I don't even know how to explain where we are. I don't know how to explain what to do, where to go. Like, we're in trouble because there's no houses, there's no anything. It was terrifying for that last hour before we get to Tallahassee.
That's literally just what I imagine the entire South is like.
No, it's not the whole South.
No. Not all of it, but
no. I'm joking.
The area between Florida and Alabama, like the cursed region, I went through it, like I said, and the time we went through, it was extremely foggy.
Yeah.
So it felt like you're in a scary movie.
It feels like you're in a scary movie in that area.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real, but not in like a good way.
I agree. Like, people don't understand, like, North Florida is the exact same as South Georgia. Those two are one and the same. You just group them to that area. They're all the same. Like, Jacksonville's Georgia. Like, anyone who's throwing out Jacksonville is Florida, or like that whole northern Florida border, and then like Colquitt County and Valdosta, Georgia, and all, like, they're all basically the same. Like, it's basically the same. And you'll drive through some crazy parts where you're like, if I break down, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, man. Florida is very, very southern.
Yes.
Like, in multiple ways. I mean, even as you get further south, there's a point where, like, if you get past Orlando and you go south, there's just a span of like trees. You don't know where you're going. There's a place like in between, like where my family lives in Coconut Creek, which is like 15 minutes from Fort Lauderdale and Orlando. There's a place that's called Yeehaw Junction. I kid you not. It is literally called Yeehaw Junction.
Love that.
Okay.
Never gonna stop there in my life. Person, I'm
not going to Yeehaw Junction, huh?
No, I refuse. But it's cool to know that it exists.
Yeah. Florida's interesting because you have Miami, which is like its own thing altogether. Like, I love Key West, and like Miami is just so different than the rest of Florida. And Orlando and Tampa, very different than the rest of Florida. And then you have North Florida, which is very different than the rest of Florida. Like, if you say you're from Florida, or like anyone who has this idea of what a Floridian is like, so when they're talking about Florida man, I'm like, which area are you talking about here? Because that could mean all kinds of different things.
Very much segmented.
It's the same. It's the same of like California too. Like, it's so big, and you have so many different types of places.
It's just like Miami is its entire like state of its own. Orlando is Disney World. That's that's really what it is. Tampa is where everybody goes to fish. And then outside of that, it's very much college towns and country. Like, it's a very country state, despite being close to being underwater.
Yeah, people wouldn't. Florida's country. Florida has a lot of country parts, which naturally leads us to the NFL schedule that got released last week, fellas. Evan, when you looked at the 49ers schedule that got released, what did you like about it? What were your immediate thoughts as to what this schedule looks like for you and your general well-being this fall?
Well, I love it. So we talked a little bit last week about wanting to have the Eagles later in the season. God and Roger Goodell, who might be the same person, agreed. So just December 3rd, the 49ers will be playing Philadelphia in Philadelphia. And I'm very excited that that's happening. That was the first thing that jumped out. Second thing overall, the 49ers have, and I think you guys will be the right people to talk to me about this and maybe bring me a little bit back down to reality. But I was like 7-1 is possible. The first 8 games. I'm looking at this schedule and I'm just like, Steelers to me is a win. The Rams is a win. I think the Giants at home is a win. The Cardinals is a win. I think the Cowboys, that's going to be a coin flip, but I think the 49ers have shown 2 years in a row that they'll beat the Cowboys, especially now that they have Schottenheimer. The Browns, I think, is a win, unless we see a huge change in what we saw last year from Deshaun, the sexual predator. I think the Vikings will be hard to say, but I still think they'd win. The Bengals is, shout out to your boy. The Bengals is where I looked
at. That's
a
4:25 game. Why is that not a primetime game? I feel like that should be one of those penciled in.
It's a 1:25 game. This is the West Coast.
Oh, apologies.
No, but like it's at San Francisco. But if you're the Niners and you're going 7 wins in a row, that might be a game that's going to be tough to win. I expect them to play very well this year. So I looked at that schedule, and barring some crazy stuff, I'm like, God, that is a great way to start the season. I mean, after that, they play the Jaguars, the Bucks, and then the Seahawks and the Eagles. It starts to get a little hard. Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks, back to back to back.
I also just don't know about the AFC North. Like, drawing the AFC North, I don't know if that's a good thing for the Niners this year. Like, the AFC North, I think you could make the case they're going to have 4 competitive to good teams in that division. What do you think, JP? Like, I think that might be a sneaky bad draw division-wise for them.
The AFC North is going to be very competitive, a very physical not conference division, as they always are. I mean, you got the Bengals, who are pretty much reloading and bringing everybody back. I still do not have a lot of faith in the Steelers, mainly because their offensive coordinator is Matt Canada. But getting TJ Watt back healthy, adding the pieces that they did on defense, the defense is once again going to be very good. The Ravens are going to be good. I think they're going to be they're potentially going to be a playoff team. You know, if Todd Monken is everything that we think he is, everything that he showed at Georgia, putting him with Lamar Jackson, that's pretty much that's a nasty combination. And then his wild card is the Browns, because all of it pretty much relies on if the quarterback plays a lot better than he did last year. If he plays a lot better than he did, then that team could potentially be a little dangerous. But I did look up the primetime game of the week of Bengals Niners. So Sunday night is Bears Chargers. And
you think that might get flexed?
I mean, it depends.
Can they do that early? Is that part of the new deal? Is you can flex pretty early on now? Like, you have to wait till the last couple weeks. So here's something changed or no?
Here's the only thing is, so the Niners have the Giants on Thursday Night Football. They have Cowboys prime time. The Vikings a primetime game, and then they have the Seahawks as a primetime game. So I think after that, they also have the Ravens on Christmas as a primetime game. So I think they were like looking at it. They're like, yeah, hey, we want them to play the Bengals in primetime, but that's already a lot. That's a lot of Niners for the nation to see.
Yeah, you don't want it to like potentially backfire and we end up with a Broncos situation last year. Right? We're suffered through watching.
God, they were on
Broncos Thursday night football.
It'll be fine. We'll just put all of the quarterbacks together like Voltron, and we'll have one quarterback. But
Monday night is Raiders Lions.
Oh,
yeah,
that has potential to be kind of sneaky fun.
The Raiders.
I'm Jimmy versus Jared Goff. Garoppolo, Jared Goff. Is that what we're sneaking fun?
Potential playoff teams.
Let me sell you on Jimmy versus Jared Goff. Don't think about it as Jimmy versus Jared Goff. Think about it as the Lions' offensive line and run game with a first-round running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, along with David Montgomery in the backfield. This is week 8, so Jamison Williams is probably going to be back. That offense is going to be really fun. Defense should have a lot of exciting young pieces. They're potentially going to be they potentially could be a playoff team. And then you look at the Raiders, they still have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow. That team's going to be very fun to watch offensively, as long as like Jimmy G just keeps his hands on the wheel.
Just does the Jimmy G stuff.
Yeah, just
play some missionary position safe football.
Look, don't try and take it off autopilot. Don't try and turn the wheel. Just keep your hands on the wheel.
Who's their backup right now? Who's the Raiders' backup QB?
Is it Aiden O'Connell, the rookie?
Is it Tom Brady 2.0, Aiden O'Connell?
I think it might be O'Connell.
Come on, relax.
It is Brian Hoyer.
No, it's not. Is Brian Hoyer really a Raider right now?
49ers legend.
Let's see. I'm pretty sure. I just checked. He's a Raider.
Oh, my goodness.
He is a Raider.
So it's going to be maybe Brian Hoyer by that point, because we know Jimmy's not playing 17 games. So
Jimmy's going to play 17 games. Relax.
Do you really believe that, Evan? He's playing 17 games for the Raiders next year?
he broke his ankle last year. It's not like it was like some some like whatever. It was a freak accident.
I mean, he's never played 17 games, has he? Or even 16?
Well, what I'll say is this: he
he
played 16 games in 2019. He didn't miss a game.
Okay, 4 years ago.
And then he was very healthy last year until someone snapped his ankle. So
the injuries are very like catastrophic injuries. Like I don't think he's gonna like break his ankle in half again.
It's not like he's like pulling a hamstring every other week or something like that. Like they were like he tore his ACL and he snapped his ankle in half.
They also have a bunch of running backs: Josh Jacobs, Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden, Zamir White. Like this, there's a lot of remember this guy in the backfield.
They also have one of my favorite players, Jakob Johnson, fullback. Yeah. They are going to run the heck out of that football, and I think it's going to be really cool.
I mean, they're going to have to because it's Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, and then
they have Devontae Adams.
That bad. Yeah. That receiver room's not that bad if you just look at only those three guys and Michael Mayer.
I mean, look at what Jimmy did with Debo. Like is Devontae Adams Debo? No, he's a very different type of receiver. But Devontae Adams, you can get the ball in space and let him do his thing. And Jimmy is very good at that.
That's fair. The Jaguars schedule, JP, what does it look like? Does it look pretty solid? Are there more landmines? Is there a stretch that you're very nervous about? Are you happy with your division draw? What did you make of the Jaguars draw?
So I'm not one to be too like heavy into the, oh my God, they scheduled us for this week against this team. But I do think getting 3 primetime games outside of the London games is really cool. And it's a nice sign of what the NFL thinks of a team like the Jaguars. Bringing in the Bengals into TIA Bank Stadium on a Monday Night Football game in December, that's going to be a crazy environment. Right now, they're scheduled to have, I think, Sunday Night Football against the Ravens in Jacksonville. That is a really huge point, and it's a really huge moment for this franchise who, like I said, like you guys know, doesn't have a lot of periods of sustained success in the eyes of the NFL. So it's really cool that we got that. Getting to London games naturally made people say, oh, here come the Jags. They're moving to London, to which I say, just shut up, please. They're not moving to London. They never were moving to London. They're going to revamp the stadium. They're renewing their lease.
They have to move to London temporarily, though?
I don't think they'll move. If they're doing the stadium, if they're renovating the stadium, they're not going to move to London.
Right.
Where do you think they'll play?
I think they'll play they'll either play in the stadium or they'll it's difficult to say now.
I'm going to play at Disneyland.
The mayor has also said a lot of stuff, but the mayor says a lot of stuff that he doesn't necessarily believe. So my initial thought was it would be in Camping World Stadium in Orlando.
Oh.
But I don't think they're going to travel that far. So I think right now the most realistic option is they'll just play in the stadium as it's renovating.
So can you tell me this, JP? Can you sell me on why I should go watch the Niners in Jacksonville? Can you tell me about what that 2 to 3
You get to hang out with JP.
Well, I mean, outside of that, I'm just saying, I'm not him. I'm just like, sell me on the city. What does a 3-day weekend look like?
Big Al's Pizza.
Oh, it's very fun. You got the Jacksonville River. You got some pretty cool things you can do down there. There's some cool nightlife going on. And in the game, the fans are extremely passionate.
Where's the stadium at? Is it close to the nightlife? Is it close to the city?
It's close to the nightlife.
How far away is the stadium from the downtown area?
I think it's like maybe 10 minutes max.
Okay, so it's not one of those stadiums like the Niners where you're like going to Narnia just to get to the stadium.
No, it's not like they say they're in Jacksonville, but no, they're back over in
they're in Duval. They're in Duval.
In the middle of
Is Duval like a county?
Yeah.
Duval County. Yep. They're in the middle of downtown Jacksonville. And like I said, Jaguars fans are one of the most passionate fans in the NFL, like bar none. Their ability to continuously support the team through it's like this is going to be year 30 of the Jaguars franchise, which is wild to think about. But
that is crazy to think about, by the way.
Yeah, they've been bad for a large majority of those 30 years, but the Jaguars fan base has grown. And remained strong. So
it's right there downtown. It's right there.
It's right in downtown.
It's on the water too. Okay, so what's the weather like in November?
This will be pretty warm.
We're going to get some sun early November.
Yeah. You'll get sun. The only thing I'd worry about is like Florida weather can be very bipolar. Maybe
you get a little rainstorm real quick.
Yeah, it'll rain for like 5 minutes, then you'll be fine. But
I think public subs might be enough reason for me.
A lot of Publix. I think it was founded in Florida, wasn't it?
It is founded in Florida. There's a distribution factory in Orlando.
There you go.
But yeah, I would. And on the field, again, you have one of the league's promising young quarterbacks and a team that looks like they're on the rise offensively going up against the Monstars. So
yeah, they are.
It'll be fun. This should be a fun game. And
I like that idea, man. I might have to come down and visit.
That it's a great game. I've already got a few games where I'm like, okay, I need to go to this one. Starting with week 2 in Kansas City, scheduling that for week 2 is terrifying. But
yeah, that's mean. But I'm glad that it wasn't week 1 because sometimes you feel like the Chiefs are going to come out and just destroy the team that they play, and then maybe you get a little hangover week.
Yeah, but I also feel like regardless of what happens, the reactions to that game are going to be way too over the top. Right. Like if the Jaguars manage to win, then they'll be like, "Oh, are the Chiefs done? We'll do the same thing that we did last year when they lost the Colts on that weird week." Mm-hmm. But if the Chiefs lose or Chiefs win, they'll be like, "Oh, the Jaguars aren't for real." And I'm just like, "Man, it's week 2." Like that happens. Like I'm nervous, but I'm also excited for that game. Of course, the Niners is going to be really fun. I think I'm going to go to the Monday night game against Cincinnati. And the Baltimore.
That'd be a great game.
Yeah. Again, it's just really cool. Not the NFL actually acknowledges the Jaguars as being both a thing and a thing that could actually be very fun to watch.
Well, I think y'all are set for you have the thing that the NFL wants more than anything else, which is top tier NFL or quarterback play. And Trevor Lawrence isn't going anywhere for the next 10 years. So it's just, I think you're going to be a primetime staple for the foreseeable future with one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the sport.
I hope so. Jacksonville deserves primetime games. They deserve primetime fans.
That place was electric for Chargers, Jags last year.
Oh, it was amazing. And Al Michaels just ruined the entire thing with the wet fart of a call at the end of the game. Like, come on, man. It's a game-winning field goal. Like, wake up, Al.
Al was sleepy. All right, Al was doing his best.
There you go. Well, if y'all both are there, it's not that far from me. I have family in Jacksonville. My wife and I could stay at.
We might have to look at that.
This could be a whole just NFL pod meetup, whole Chase Thomas podcast meetup. This could be fun, especially in November. Get away from the cold here, move down to the beach for the weekend. That could be good. Get some fish or what is it? Seafood Kitchen, I think is really good down there. Big Al's Pizza was top notch. I don't know if it's still there, but Big Al's Pizza, shout out to them. Not a sponsor, but could be. In terms of the Falcons, though, they don't have any primetime games. That is something that they are not allowed to have. So they're just going to be under the radar, is what I've said with the Falcons. Is like they're just gonna be a solid 10-7 hosting first round playoff game, and people are just gonna be like, oh, we're getting put at 1:00 on Saturday come playoff time. No one is gonna want to watch it because the NFL is gonna be like, we're not putting Desmond Ridder in this run. So just very, very boring physical style to the masses. Like we're not taking this efficient 13 of 17 Desmond Ridder games with no picks and 1 TD to the masses. So they made a calculated move there, betting on the way the Falcons are going to play. But you look at the schedule. I mean, this schedule early on, it's very nice. Like it's very nice, and they end nice, which is you get the Bucs at home, at Carolina, Colts at home, at Chicago, at New Orleans. Like I like that. But you start with the Panthers at home, it's probably a win. Packers at home, probably a win. At Detroit, I would venture to say they'll be favored there, so I would go there. And then your Jaguars, London, that could be a matchup of 2 undefeateds or 2 division favorites early on. A house divided here on the pod. You get Houston at home, Washington at home, and at Tampa Bay, and at Tennessee, who might have the worst offensive line in football this year. So I don't know. I look at the schedule. This looks like at least 10 wins for the Falcons. I look at this. I would be very, very disappointed and very, very upset if this team does not win this division and does not finally get over the hump and host their first playoff game in the Benz.
You keep trying to sneak by us 10-7, like we didn't hear it.
10-7, JP.
I would not bank on double-digit wins for the Falcons this year.
No, it's not going to happen.
It is.
Desmond Ridder is going to be serviceable.
Look, I think at best they'll probably win like 8 games, 9 games.
8 below 500.
That can win you the division.
I mean, listen, if ever you're going to have Desmond Ridder be your starting quarterback, they have a really exciting running back.
/ slot receiver. Because it's going to be Algier in the backfield with Cordero and Bijan out wide sometimes. It's just going to be
think about all that blocking from Kyle Pitts.
He's going to be good at blocking. He's a good blocker.
Like it's going to be a completely new defense. Like that is that's an issue. Like it looks cool on paper, but they do have to play. And I'd like to see like how some of these players like Lorenzo Carter kind of fit into what this defense will look like. I think it's going to look a lot like the Saints with a lot of 4-3 hand the dirt defensive linemen. I don't know. A lot of blitzing. I don't know how it's going to look in Atlanta.
Yeah.
The middle of that season, I mean, of course, it looks like relatively easy now, but I mean, Minnesota is going to be like a toss-up.
At home, they're favored. They're going to be favored against Minnie. Minnie, I think, is in for a regression. That's a win. Pencil it in.
You got to go to New York to play the Jets.
I think it's bad. We don't know yet. We don't know.
Dog,
not scared, JP.
Dog, we know. You don't know, but we know.
We know. You don't know.
I would not bank on double-digit wins.
I'm banking on it.
If they get double-digit wins, congratulations. But I do not think it's going to happen.
You heard it here first, folks. I'm on an island on this very program.
You heard it
I will not be
first
swayed.
And last, folks, on the Chase Thomas podcast.
Falcons winning at least 10 games. JP, 5 years from now, will the Jalen Hurts contract turn out to be a nothing burger for Philly? What do you like? Will they be fine? Will they not be fine? This was something I've been thinking about for the last month after the contract came out, where certain guys getting paid and you look at it and like, that's just par for the course. But do you think you've seen enough from Jaylen and his growth in 3 years in the league to lend you to the belief that once this really starts kicking in and they have to move on from some important linemen, have to move on maybe from AJ Brown or something, like he is good enough where there is not a serious dip in what the Eagles can be with him making the money that he is going to make? What does your gut tell you how we're going to look at this contract 3 years from now?
I think they're going to be fine. I think contract-wise, the money really doesn't start getting funny for real until 2026 when he's making $25 million, or he's got a $25 million option. The cap hit will spike up to $31 million that year. But the way that they've structured this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, is the only guys that really have yet to be paid that they're gonna have to pay is Devontae Smith. I mean, if Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce do decide to retire at some point within those 2 years, the Eagles have drafted to the point where they can just replace those guys. They drafted Cam Jurgens last year to be the Jason Kelce replacement, and we don't even know if Jason Kelce is going to retire yet. This year they drafted Tyler Steen. He can be the Isaac Samalo guy at guard and then slide out the tackle potentially if Lane Johnson decides to retire. Defensively, they're just stacking up through the draft. Just draft all the Georgia players and figure it out from there. I don't think it's going to be a major issue, mainly one, because the way they structured the deal is really smart and it's more backloaded. So you have the chance to go try and make a Super Bowl again and win a Super Bowl with the core that you have now and with Jalen Hurts still being relatively cheap. Second thing is the quarterback contracts are going to increase exponentially because the salary cap is going to keep getting larger because the income is going to keep getting larger. I think last year was the NFL teams made like 20, 30 million more than they ever have. And that was just an increase from last year to this year. The salary cap is going to continue to increase. And with that, quarterback contracts are going to get a lot higher. I think there was a projection by, I think it was a few months back, by Arjun Manan, works at PFF, of Justin Herbert's contract, and it was going to be like $455 million. So, like, hey, it's good that they got their guy locked in now, because if you didn't do it before Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert contracts got going, then that price tag was going to get a lot higher.
Just real quick. I'm very bad at math. Never passed college. Never graduated from college. Does anyone know what the guaranteed money was in the Patrick Mahomes contract?
Not off the top of my head. I can look it up though.
It was about $63 million. Do you know what the guaranteed contract money was in the Lamar Jackson contract?
This was like 190.
Wasn't it 200?
$185 million. The Hurts contract, for whatever it is, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, will look like nothing. It's just the nature of the business. Everyone thought Jimmy G's contract, when he was the highest paid quarterback of all time, was crazy, and then like a week later it was like it's not even that bad. So
do you think he ever wins an MVP?
Jalen Hurts?
Yeah. Do you think Hurts ever wins one?
I worry that sometimes you see a guy like Hurts have such a fantastic season like he did last year, and then it just is expected, but that's a hard season to have continuously, and they're going to be gunning for his ass. And do I think he can win an MVP again? Yes, but I also think right now more than ever he has Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, right? Like there is so much competition. So it's not going to be easy.
I was going to say, like, as long as Patrick Mahomes is still in the league, it's going to be a little difficult. Even outside of Patrick Mahomes, you got guys like you said, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and those guys will probably end up winning a MVP. I will say Spot Track has a market value for Justin Herbert for his potential contract. His market value is 6 years, $304 million. So the Eagles did good. They got the guy right before Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow got paid in theirs. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to get paid in like Disney stock.
He seems like a chill dude. He just got back from Europe. I watched an interview with him on a YouTube show. He's a very, very laid back, like just I'm good.
Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is exact. Like the hair matches his personality.
Did you see the so can we talk? Are we going to talk about the schedule release videos?
Ooh.
Because I saw the Jaguars had a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Was my favorite overall, but I do love acting. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, who they joked about the NFL being scripted the last couple of years. They did a full-on video about how the entire season is scripted. They had the head writer of the show, all this thing, and when they had Trevor Lawrence's parts in that, it is the classic NFL quarterback, just no charisma at all whatsoever. Like has no business being in front of a camera.
That's also him. That man is not charismatic at all.
But that's my point. He is like Andrew Luck. Like he was born to play football. Football.
He was huge young. Like he played in, I don't know if you knew this, Evan, but he went to high school in Cartersville, Georgia. Like
he's also extremely Southern.
Yes.
Cartersville, Georgia. That's why Jacksonville loves him, because he's also very Southern.
Yes.
Like he goes to Waffle House after games.
Yes.
Right. But I mean, I'm just saying, like in general, like he is not an Eli Manning. I will just say
no.
That.
Yeah. I will say about the schedule release video, did an interview with Asher Grodman, who was the writer, director, played the head writer for the script. One of the cool things they told me was the entire part with Zay Jones, where they're sitting on the little patch of grass on the field, that was all improvised.
Love that.
Huh.
Zay Jones just on the hoof, just doing that.
Love that. I love a good improvisation.
There you go. Evan, now that Aaron Rodgers is officially moved, what do you think the AFC East hierarchy looks like now? Do you think the Jets are the favorites potentially if Aaron Rodgers is an MVP level player still with what they have? Could you talk yourself into the Bills brain drain and just kind of what you saw from them last year and just kind of expecting them to be this good year over year? Can they just keep winning this division? Is it the Dolphins potentially with the healthy Tua and with what they have brought in and the firepower there? Like, what do you think it actually looks like hierarchy now?
I think it's the Bills division to win, but I love what the Miami Dolphins are doing. I think the Patriots are done. I don't think they're worth talking about, though I'm sure they'll be excited to be in the race.
I just don't think they are going to win the division. I don't think they're in the conversation. I think they're in their own tier below the top three.
I think they're looking at the top pick in the draft.
Oof.
They're not going. It's not and let me just say this. I don't think they're one of those teams where they have just this god-awful roster. I just think they're just going to lose the game. They're going to lose football games. Every time they go into a game, I don't think there's going to be many games that they're going to be favored. And unless they are playing a team that really is like, like the Cardinals or, one of that, like it's going to be the hard for the Patriots to win football games. So what I will say though, and I think is the biggest thing for me is Aaron Rodgers going to be the MVP quarterback that we know, or are we about to see Denver 2.0?
Also, in Green Bay, when Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers were there together, Nathaniel Hackett did not call plays. Matt LaFleur was the one calling plays.
And they fired the other LaFleur, who could have been calling plays for Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers has never played outside of Green Bay. He's had many different offensive schemes, many different situations, but he has always known the comfort of being Green Bay's savior. It's always been very easy for Aaron Rodgers. And now he's going to go from Wisconsin to New York City, technically New Jersey, but New York City media, and a guy that loves going on the Pat McAfee podcast because everyone is such a buddy. Pat's going to just be his best friend. Hey, come on, say whatever you want, is going to have to answer to the New York media game after game. And I don't think he'll play as bad as Russell Wilson. It's like that's impossible. But I do think that the Jets might they could have a little bit of a struggle.
I also think the Jets are going to struggle at least early on because even outside of like, is Aaron Rodgers going to be the MVP quarterback, or is he going to look like a lot like what he did last year? I have a lot of questions about the Jets offensively. Again, Nathaniel Hackett has not called plays very often. And when he does, it doesn't go well. Like we saw in Denver, it did not go well. I think his highest rated offensive seasons were in Jacksonville, and they didn't finish anything higher than 17th. So there's a lot of questions around what the Jets are bringing in around Aaron Rodgers in terms of play calling. The offensive line still – like we don't know who's going to be playing left tackle. Mekhi Becton, it seems like they're going to roll with him. I hope Mekhi Becton's going to be healthy.
But he hasn't played football since what, 2020?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think Miami is the clear second best team in that division. I think the Bills are going to end up winning the regular season. That's what the Bills do. The Bills are very much built for winning the regular season. Dolphins are probably going to finish second, probably going to be close, but
I mean, it all hinges on the quarterback for Miami.
Yeah, it all hinges on that quarterback.
Yeah.
I love their draft too. Like Devin Achane, I could see being really good for Miami. I could see that being a dude. And obviously with Waddle and Hill, like they're just always gonna be there. But like, I mean, this speaks to you, Evan. Like Vic Fangio quietly is the DC now in Miami. Like it was just rumored forever that he was a package deal for Sean Payton, and that doesn't happen. And then you're looking at like an offensive whiz in Mike McDaniel and the defensive whiz in Vic Fangio, and I'm like, I think there's a path to the Dolphins were playoff.
Listen, people do not understand how good of a defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is. And someone tell me real quick, who are the starting defensive ends for the Miami Dolphins?
Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips.
Wow. Pretty decent. The last time Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator and had two good defensive ends, how'd he do?
Did pretty good.
So like I said, it all hinges on the quarterback. But like
The
That
Dolphins.
is going to be so fun to watch. And they have Xavier Howard.
They also traded for Jalen Ramsey this offseason.
Yes, I forgot about Jalen Ramsey.
Like we forgot, like they also have Jalen Ramsey.
Right. And the Niners never had a corner like Jalen Ramsey when Vic was out there. Vic Fangio was out there making Carlos Rogers a Pro Bowler. And now he's got Jalen Ramsey. Like, dog.
I think I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win the division.
It's like I said.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
I'll always understand you going for the team that has Josh Allen. I'll never be confused by that. But like Miami Dolphins, if they have good quarterback play, they're like one of the most sneaky Super Bowl picks.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
JB, could you see them trying, because they signed Isaiah Wynn, to like see if they could sneak Wynn and Jackson on the field together, and maybe the two of them combined at right tackle could be good enough to be an average right tackle in today's NFL?
Oh, I think Wynn's going to play tackle, and he'll probably make that line an average unit.
Okay. So you think he'll start over Austin Jackson?
I think he'll start over Austin Jackson. I don't think Austin Jackson is very good right now. So I think bringing in Isaiah Wynn, low risk, high reward. If he's healthy, he'll solidify the right side of that offensive line. Again, the big question is how long is Tua going to stay upright? If he can stay healthy, then, I mean, you're looking at a loaded team. Team. But how long is he going to be healthy? Is he going to stay healthy?
Would you have hated it if they had taken a quarterback in the draft?
Yeah, because I don't think outside of the top four guys was anybody who like really stood out to me as
who was ready to fill in for Tua if need be.
Yeah, I don't think any of those guys were like ready. So I think they went and got a guy in the offseason. They got Mike White.
Yeah.
White's now the backup. So if things happen, like if Tua happens to get hurt, Mike White can fill in. That that you have a viable backup option there. Miami looks really good. On paper, Miami looks like a really, really good team.
5 make it or break it guys next year, Evan. PFF did this, and I thought it was pretty interesting. The 5 here, and I want to get your take. Which of the 5 you think is most likely to make it and who is not? Baker Mayfield in Tampa, Gabriel Davis in Buffalo, DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona, Patrick Queen in Baltimore, and JC Jackson in Los Angeles. Who would you bet on most to have the big necessary season to keep their just status alive in the NFL? And who would you bet against the most?
I feel like DeAndre Hopkins has got so much juice baked in that like I would never give him the title of make it or break it ever. He has earned. He can go off into the sunset. He can do whatever he wants. I don't give a shit about Baker Mayfield, and I don't even want to acknowledge his career in Tampa Bay. It is a waste of my time. My pick will be JC Jackson. I think I could not believe he struggled as much as he did last year. Maybe it's not the right scheme. You remember Nnamdi Asomugha going to the 49ers, going to the Eagles when he was playing press and man. I don't know if that's what it is, but I enjoyed watching him play in New England so much, and I was so excited for him to come and be on this Chargers defense that was going to have Khalil Mack. So I'm going for him. I want him to have the season we wanted him to have last year. I'm hoping that he makes that comeback.
I want D-Hop on Baltimore. Like, I want that to just happen. Like, you just go all out, D-Hop, Odell, Bateman, Andrews, and you just see, like, what Lamar could do with that much offensive firepower and Todd Monken with that much offensive firepower. That'd be fun.
I feel like DeAndre Hopkins on here is kind of weird, mainly because, like, we don't know who's going to play quarterback for Arizona for, like, the first 6 weeks of the season.
Probably someone not good.
Yeah, so I don't know what
He might as well take the first 6 weeks off.
Well, he did that last year.
DeAndre might as well do it again. Like, I mean, literally just like, I've got some mental health issues, right? Just pull out.
And what I will say about J.C. Jackson is I think there was a little bit of a scheme issue. Also, he got hurt, which really sucked. But coming from a very much man, cover 3 heavy scheme in New England to go into Brandon Staley defense where you're playing a lot of quarters, a lot of quarter half, a lot more route recognition rather than, this is my man, I'm going to stick to him regardless. He struggled a lot. It was a lot. It looked really bad. So I'm hoping he bounces back too. Patrick Queen, I feel like he's on his way out of Baltimore. I feel like they drafted his replacement in Trenton Simpson, and they do the exact same thing now. And I don't think they're going to be able to afford to pay Queen while also paying Roquan Smith $100 million. And then, if Evan's not going to talk about Baker Mayfield, I guess I will say a sentence about Baker Mayfield, which is, good luck, man. Good luck. Let's see what happens. There's pressure. There's no pressure at all. People don't expect the Bucs to be good. Just go out there and wing it, man. I think that Seahawks offense, which was an offshoot of the McVay offense, might help Baker Mayfield out. He's going to be throwing to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Go see what happens, man. I don't think he's ever going to be like a top tier starter or even a mid tier starter, but go see what happens.
It reminds me of like the Saints post Breeze. It's like, I don't think anyone played bad, like bad in New Orleans post Breeze. It just wasn't like fantastic. I just feel like Baker's going to it's going to be the most forgettable football season.
This is it for him, though. Like, if he's not good this year, his time as a starter in this league or getting the benefit of the doubt is over.
He's not going to be successful there.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'll be having this conversation again because he'll get another shot. But, like, he had a shot last year. He went to the Rams.
He was in Carolina, and that got ugly.
Yeah, start there. I'm saying he got two. Like,
I don't know. It got bad quickly for him because it wasn't like he was awful in Cleveland. It wasn't like he was a dumpster fire with Kevin Stefanski. It wasn't like things were going crazy. It was just that they were like, we can get Deshaun Watson and we're going to offer him a full guaranteed contract. Because if like they don't do that, Baker's still a Cleveland Brown and probably starting, and we're not having any of these conversations, I don't think.
I don't think he's a Cleveland Brown, even if they
really. You think that was probably it,
Sean? Because I just don't think he was good enough.
Yeah,
he's at his best. He was okay, and like if you just be okay like with the Bucs now, that's fine. You can keep your job for another year. But like I said, there's no pressure. Just go play ball. And
I'm just worried people are going to compare the Geno stuff because of what the OC did with Geno last year. It's like Baker's not capable of doing some of the stuff that Geno is able to do downfield, and just his accuracy and his ball placement, and just it's not going to happen. Like,
by the way, can we really quick? Can we think about just the idea of that sentence 4 years ago?
Yeah, Baker's not going to be a Geno.
Listen, man, Baker's no Geno Smith, guys.
Yeah. The NFL can change real quick.
Life comes at you fast, dog.
It really does. Like the Jets are like, I would kill for Geno Smith at center, at under center right now. That was a thought that Jets fans had all last year. It's like, wow, if this team only had Geno Smith with all of our weapons, what could we be instead of Zach Wilson? That is something that you thought. Last thing here, and we'll wrap up. Zadarius Smith, JP, how will he fit with the Bucs? That kind of went under the radar this week. Him moving to the Browns from the Vikings. How does he fit with this group? And is it a clean scheme fit? Is it something the Vikings will regret moving on from? Where is Zadarius at this point in his career?
He is a warm body you can put opposite Myles Garrett. Now I'm playing. What Zadarius Smith does really well now is you can have him on the outside early downs. You can put him on the inside as kind of a stunter looper on passing situations. He'll work really well in a Jim Schwartz style, like 4-3, got a wide 9 defense. He'll be a nice complement.
I completely forgot Jim Schwartz is their DC now. He completely forgot about Jim Schwartz is back in the NFL as a DC. Okay, I completely forgot about that.
Old is new again, baby. We're happy to see Jim Schwartz back in here.
We're at the point where like all of these coaches that went from good DCs to head coaches are now back to being a DC.
Yeah,
we're so back. We're getting back to real football. But He'll be a nice fit. I don't think it'll be something that the Vikings ultimately regret because they did go out and sign Marcus Davenport. Zadarius Smith also wanted to leave Minnesota. He asked for his release or to be traded. The Vikings said, "Okay, man, sure." So I don't think this is going to be, something that the Vikings end up regretting. But he'll be a nice fit for the Browns. He'll be a nice compliment to Myles Garrett if he can stay healthy.
Right.
There you go. JP, what can the good folks check out from you over at sbnation.com this week?
Yep. So you can check out my interview I did with Asher Grodman about the Jaguars release schedule release video. Got some pretty cool stuff that I got planned. Gonna be doing a lot more college football stuff this year. So I'm gonna be watching football from pretty much like Wednesday to Monday. So it should be pretty fun.
There you go. Evan, what about you? At Evan Sowards. Evan Sowards.
Just doing his best. Just trying to make it through the day.
Volume shooter.
It's all about the layups, man. High percentage points. Yeah, you could check me out on the Chase Thomas podcast on YouTube. You can see my sweet background of my late son Titus and my dope ass Avengers metal posters, or like not posters, they're like shout out. And then my display of the OG. By the way, JP, Demon Slayer was so raw. 2 weeks in a row, we are in just heaven right now.
So mad.
That's it. Check out Demon Slayer, the
Absolutely.
best anime in the world right now.
Demon Slayer, love it. Watching it all the time.
Go watch some Matlock, dog.
Hold on, leave Matlock alone.
Go watch Flowers Bloom or whatever you do over there.
I
in
love
Tennessee.
flowers blooming.
I know you do. I know what I said.
What's wrong with a good flower bloom?
It takes too long.
What's wrong with a good yard? Some freshly cut turf. I got up this morning, walked outside, and the morning dew on the grass, just what a beautiful sight. Like, I miss morning dew to wake up. Like, you just want to touch.
That is the most washed thing I've ever heard. Getting up and watching the morning dew. Like, okay, man. I cannot believe that was said.
Listen, man. All I know is that morning dew has nothing on sun breathing techniques and Himokami Kagura. All right, so just
don't knock it till you try it. Just because y'all don't have morning dew in Los Angeles, Evan.
Dog, I live in LA. All right, I live in Santa Monica. I live by the beach. I will just go look at the sunset and the sunrise at the beach.
I'll go touch some grass, get some morning dew, sip my coffee,
some yoga, write in your journal. By the way, no knocking on writing on your journal. That's very good for your mental health.
Yeah, you know what's just good for your mental health. I did my I also did a saltwater pool today. So for my workout, so I'm doing my laps in the pool.
There you go. You're really just getting there.
This almost washed thing I've ever heard.
Are we gonna do some ice baths soon?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't hate that idea. Like, I don't hate, because I think they're really good for you. I feel like it would be cool to get into some ice baths. But no, the saltwater feels amazing. Like, a saltwater pool lap is so much more soothing than a chlorine infested pool lap. So when I'm going back and forth and doing the backstroke, doing the butterfly, and I'm just in the salt water, it just feels great. You get out of the pool, you don't have that chlorine smell, you feel better. Like, it's nice. And just I got my goggles on and just got my ear plugs to make sure that my ear is
He starts the podcast talking about Tennessee rowing sports and ends the podcast talking about goggles and earplugs for his little salt swim meet.
Salt life.
Salt Bay.
Oh my God.
One might call him Salt Bay. The people are saying. Tennessee, not run Knoxville, Salt Bay.
It's me. Hey, what do I always say? You be you, I'll be me.
Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
JP, Evan, thank you as always, and I will talk to y'all.
Well done, nephew. Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.